So tonight we're going to check out some videos of conspiracy theories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Let's check them out.
Have you ever wondered why the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the world's biggest mysteries? For decades, this infamous stretch of water between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico has been the subject of countless stories about ships and planes that vanished without a trace. Although there are many theories about the causes of these disappearances, no one can say for sure what really happened to all those people and vessels. Some believe that the Bermuda Triangle is home to supernatural forces, including alien abductions and sea monsters. Others argue that the area is cursed, haunted by the ghosts of sailors who died in violent storms centuries ago. Perhaps the most plausible explanation, however, is that the Bermuda Triangle's unusual weather patterns and strong currents make it a dangerous place to navigate, leading to accidents and mishaps. Despite the fact that many of the reported incidents in the Bermuda Triangle can be explained by natural phenomena, the mystery persists. This leads to the question...
I like how you left it on a little cliffhanger there. This leads to the question, but no, man, it's got to be more to it, bro. You hear all kind of different stories about the Bermuda Triangle, whether it be gravity, whether it be the weather patterns, like he said, you know what I mean? Because it hasn't just been boats that have been lost through there. Planes have been lost through there as well. So that's where I think the weather patterns come into play, but still an enigma nonetheless.
It's me on top of a sunken ship in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle trying to figure out why boats, planes, and ships are rumored to sink, crash, and disappear here. But first, to get here, I had to fly to Bermuda via plane.
Alright, we're doing this.
Everything was going great until we hit unexpected turbulence.
Thank you for your patience and please remain seated.
Fam, was he the only person on that plane? Did y'all notice that? I think he was the only person on that plane.
Great until we hit unexpected turbulence.
Thank you for your patience and please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened.
This is no joke. The triangle's not to be played with, and we're playing with it. This must have just been 97 minutes straight of pure coincidental bad luck, right? We have 30 minutes left. Praying to God for a safe landing. Or was it the Bermuda Triangle? Things were off to a suspicious start. The plane has landed. No plane crash, no casualties. Now we need to investigate. We made it to Bermuda. Beautiful island-looking thing. I don't care. I'm here to dispel one myth. Is the triangle real and is it deadly? After surviving my flight, I waved down a taxi and headed towards the dockyard to see if any local fishermen here have seen anything unusual in the triangle's waters. You know any fishermen?
Of course I fish myself. But
really?
Yeah. But there are a lot of things in the water, especially these days. Fisherman right there.
That's the guy you want to talk to. How you guys doing? We're trying to see if this Bermuda Triangle myth is real or not.
Dude, Bermuda Triangle ain't fake, bro.
It ain't fake?
No, you come around here and see some names.
This is someone who lost their life.
These are guys lost at sea.
This is your guys' friend?
Yes.
See, that's what I would have done too. Go talk to the people that live there. That's where you're going to get the majority of your information from. They're going to know best about what to do, what not to do around here, what's safe, what's not safe, when to be out in the water, when not to be out in the water. Like, they're going to know. So I like the fact that he's talking to the people.
What happened?
They got caught in there back on. Say back fishing.
Okay. And he never returned.
Never returned.
What happened though?
Water caught him. They got back on.
The mystic waters.
Yeah.
Actually?
I ain't joking, man. People go missing, man.
Never find nothing. I tell you, it's serious.
Yeah.
It's right, very serious. I lost my brother-in-law. Guy was so strong. He was up there fishing. They find him 2 miles away. It's crazy.
Boats, planes, ships, and everything have been missing.
You would say the Bermuda Triangle has some legitimacy.
Yes, most definitely.
It's real.
Yeah?
It's real.
Okay. You get spooked out there?
Of course.
Yeah? Alright, see you guys. Bye. After hearing from people who had lost loved ones to the Triangle savagery, another taxi driver took me to a local monument where he said I'd understand how serious the locals treated the Triangle here. Making a little...
At this point, I would have stopped. Like, how much more evidence and proof, or how much more stuff do you need to know that you might not need to go through with this? You know what I mean? I would have been done at this point in time. I got the information from the people. I'm done. I don't need to go out there now.
Mini documentary on the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, whether you believe in it or not, I had a personal experience 10 miles off Bermuda, and the weather changed in an instant. We thought we were coming back to the island when we would end up going away from the island.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for some fishermen that were coming in, we would have ended up being lost at sea. So I believe that there's an energy force in certain parts of the world that is unexplained.
Bermuda Triangle being one
So
of them.
the evidence is there. And I've seen many things happen.
Giant squid?
Seen that.
Oh, could it have swallowed your boat? Oh man,
Sure.
that's too much.
There's only so much we know when it concerns the ocean. Think about it. How far can you go down?
And then my taxi driver led me to a monument depicting a sunken ship that commemorated countless lives lost at sea over the last 5 centuries.
When the dark web reveals the truth, a video has been posted anonymously on the dark web showing the Bermuda Triangle, a geographical area in the Atlantic Ocean, widely believed to be the cause of a large number of ship disappearances. And the rest will surprise you. A few years ago, a disturbing video surfaced anonymously on the dark web, revealing a scene of a nature as mysterious as it was terrifying. The disturbing content featured a creature that defied rational explanation, a true demon. And look at those eyes. You get the impression that if you look at him, you're going straight to hell. In short,
He says that after we look at him. I'm pretty sure all of us just looked right into his eyes just then. Thanks a lot, buddy. Way to go with your narration of this video.
if you come across one, run and don't stop. It's really scary.
Oh, y'all been spamming up. Do the Bermuda Triangle all in the comments for every video, so here it is. Although we can't do a lot of research on the Bermuda Triangle, do know it exists though, and it's a lot of evidence showing that it might be located between these three locations right here. You got Florida, you got the Bermuda Islands, and you got San Juan, Puerto Rico. Throughout history, there have been numerous amounts of ships and airplanes going missing without a trace. But why not start with the first one, the one that started the legend, the one that started it all? 1945, 5 Navy planes took off from their base in Florida. It was nothing crazy, just a routine training mission. However, once these planes departed, they were never seen again. No traces of them left anywhere. And here, the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was born. But it's not a legend, it's real. Right, and if that wasn't enough, I got another story for y'all. December 28th, 1948. Which again, if we go back to the origin story about the 5 Navy airplanes dating back to 1945, they're not that far apart. So here in 1948, the DC-3 disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Y'all could go ahead and pause the read if you would like. But to summarize this story all up, DC-3, the airplane, departed from San Juan, Puerto Rico at 10:03 a.m. Final destination was, of course, Miami, Florida. And again, if you remember the map I showed you, you can see that Miami, Florida, or Florida in general, and Puerto Rico are the 2 points of the Bermuda Triangle. The flight included 29 passengers and 3 crew members. Everything left without a trace, and this is only the first instance. 2 more cases of DC-3 airplanes were reported missing over the Bermuda Triangle. Last message of the original DC-3 airplane was detected with 20 minutes to go into the flight. This occurred with all 3 DC-3s. On over the same location. And also, y'all should be familiar with her, but Amelia Earhart. A lot of people believe that she actually landed in the Bermuda Triangle. But the magnetic force there is so strong, once you in, you can't leave. And she was trapped. But I'm gonna leave that for y'all to...
I thought they found her remains or different things like that on an island somewhere. You know what I mean? She just wasn't able to get off the island or communicate and ended up dying there is what I thought with Amelia Earhart.
Decide. Alright, I'm gone. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.
Some people feel like as well that there's a black hole there. And that's where things are either going into and just not coming back out of and stuff like that. That's another conspiracy theory surrounding the Bermuda Triangle.
The mysterious Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, located in the South Atlantic between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, is thought to be an epicenter of shipwrecks and plane crashes. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, there is evidence that ships or planes disappear more frequently in the Bermuda Triangle than they do anywhere else. Some theorists also believe that aliens use the area as a portal to conduct research on humans, which explains why no wreckage or bodies have ever been found once it disappears in the triangle.
We was in this big war. They used that giant pyramid to lock. Like they drove Ocean Body. In the middle of the war, they drove Ocean's body through the pyramid. So imagine a huge pyramid and a body of water being driven through it. Now that body of water was being driven through it, and that where the tip of the pyramid was used to hold the body of water in place. So that body of water that's being held in place is ocean. And the oceans of today is being held in place by this giant pyramid. And this giant pyramid is located in the Bermuda Triangle. It's under the water.
It's the first time I've ever heard that one. I'm gonna have to sit with that one for a minute. I can't really speak on that one. I'm gonna have to hear that a few more times before I could even just digest everything he just said.
You know, there's the whole mysterious scariness with the Bermuda Triangle of all these ships and stuff disappearing. Like
Amelia
planes.
Earhart.
Potentially. There's a lot of theories of like methane gas being released and like it creates the density on the water goes down and ships sink and stuff.
And then you can't send any signal out from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another theory is that there's a portal.
Ooh,
and that you
fun.
you either go into the future or back in time, whatever. That's a fun one.
Yep.
I don't believe it. But there's a theory that is been proven, but they've discovered it's called a rogue wave. Basically a tsunami, but there's nothing that creates it. It just pops up. And it was a theory, but they weren't able to prove it. But then an oil rig out in the Bermuda Triangle got video or a picture of it. And it's basically a wave that shoots up to 90 feet tall.
Oh, no.
But it's just one wave?
It's just one wave.
Oh, no.
And ships have a PSI of the amount of pressure that they can take from a wave or whatever. I'm totally going to get this wrong. But the standard giant ships PSI say it's like 150 PSI of like what it can take before it starts taking damage. These waves produce over 200 PSI.
Oh, no.
So they're saying that if it hits these ships, they literally just break apart.
Just crumble.
Yeah.
Golly.
And it's out of nowhere. You can't really see it coming. And it just hits.
And there's no prediction of like, it literally is just completely random.
It's just wave. Oh.
So is that the explanation for all those ships going missing?
They said
in that area?
That could be, yeah.
But here's the one question that I have then, okay? And you say that, and I've heard that story too about the wave. What about the airplanes and aircrafts that go through there? That's my only thing. You know what I mean? They're high enough to where they shouldn't be affected by a 90-foot wave. What about that? That's why we can't just stick to one theory on this thing. Because there's other things that have gone missing that doesn't account for. Moving on.
Have you ever wondered what the truth is behind the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle? Could it be aliens, electromagnetic anomalies, or something far more mysterious? The triangle is roughly 500,000 square miles, so twice the size of Texas, or 4 times the size of Germany. Its vertices are defined by the eponymous Bermuda, a British overseas territory in the mid-Atlantic, as well as Miami, Florida, and San Juan, the capital of the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. In the last 200 years, over 50 ships and 20 aircraft have gone missing and have never been found in and around the Bermuda Triangle. Usually the most mysterious ship disappearance is the USS Cyclops that went missing in 1918. The Cyclops left Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on February 15th and made one last stop in Barbados on March 3rd before disappearing somewhere around the Bermuda Triangle, although exactly where has never been determined. How exactly could a then modern US Navy ship go missing? Easily the most famous disappearance, though, is Flight 19. It was a routine Navy test flight consisting of 5 Avenger torpedo bombers crewed by 14 men. They took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and flew over the Bahamas, successfully reaching their mission target, but on the way home, things went awry. Radio operators on the ground heard flight leader Charles C. Taylor saying that his compasses were simply not working. After several more minutes of confused messages, the radios went silent, and a search effort was immediately launched. Unfortunately, one of the rescue craft, a PBM-5 Mariner, also went missing, although another pilot did see an explosion in the sky and found a debris field shortly after. It was because of Flight 19 specifically that the myth of the Bermuda Triangle came to be. The term Bermuda Triangle didn't ever appear until the 1964 article by Vincent Gaddis, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle. While there have been countless theories about why the Bermuda Triangle is so mysterious, the answer is that it's really not. First off, with the Bermuda Triangle being about twice the size of Texas, and the Caribbean and Mid-Atlantic being one of the busiest areas for shipping and flights in the world, the Triangle has just as many disappearances as any other similarly sized chunk of ocean. Also, many of the disappearances aren't mysterious at all, like the Cyclops. Remember that stop in Barbados? Well, it was because the ship was having problems from being overloaded, which was a very bad idea for the top-heavy and narrow Cyclops. Within a decade, 2 of its sister ships would sink under the same circumstances, neither of which were in the Triangle. While Flight 19 is more mysterious, the radio communications tell us a lot. To get home from the Bahamas without a compass, all you have to do is fly west by following the direction of the setting sun. But by Lieutenant Taylor's orders, the flight flew north, after calling the Bahamas the Keys. If you are over the Florida Keys, the best idea is to fly north. And this was Taylor's first flight after being transferred from the Keys to Fort Lauderdale. The other pilots in the flight actually complained about flying north instead of west, which makes human error the most likely cause. Although tragic, there's really nothing mysterious or unique about the Bermuda Triangle. Next time on Weird Boy.
So I've never really heard it like that. That's the first time I ever hear of a theory of it being either overcrowded or it loses just as many ships as any other place. Makes a good point. You know what I mean? Makes a very valid point. And then looking at some of these cases, do we really dig all the way into them like we should, or has all the information been released to us like it should have? He can make some very compelling arguments here. You know what I mean? But I still believe in its mystique and mysteriousness of things disappearing there. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Even though I've heard people say that planes fly over there all the time, throughout there, back and forth, all day, every day, all the time. So,
Weird Borders, did aliens help build the pyramids? So follow if you
right here gets so wicked and deceitful that you really can't put it into words, so you have to let your spirit guide you through this video. So when it comes down to this enlightenment, right, this right here is a vortex. And when I mean a vortex, we got to understand that the Bermuda Triangle is a pyramid scheme, figuratively. And when I mean that, you gotta understand that something and someone placed this type of frequency, this pyramid, underneath our ocean, which is our ancestor, our gargantuan reflection. So you see how we got Florida, Georgia, Cuba, South Carolina, etc. So as we are on this side of the world, we have a pyramid near us. Now, if you know California, Texas, Louisiana, they got a pyramid near them as well. Mexico, South America, there are different pyramids underneath our ocean. We have which really hold different types of frequencies, you get what I'm saying? So now we have the Bermuda Triangle. I'm about to sneeze, hold on. Never mind. And so...
Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me. So, now we have the Bermuda Triangle right here, you get what I'm saying? So now, if you really think about it, if you were to sail a boat or your boat through this enlightenment and you get sucked down to a vortex, for one, the pyramid is going to get activated by the solar flare of the sun. So once this happens, boom, it's going to open up the whole different type of realm that you've never seen before. And these beings know that because something is watching this pyramid and activating it, because it's a source center underneath our ocean. Even if you go to Egypt or you go all over the globe and you see different types of pyramids, they're activated somehow, some way. But you can't activate it, but something is activating it. Okay, so I don't know what this is, but you got Puerto Rico right here. We see this triangle, boom, Devil's Triangle, third eye. Understand that these pyramids got more pyramids inside of them. So there are centers, there are crystallized centers underneath our ocean, and there are programming centers underneath our ocean as well. And these crystallized pyramids are being formed and they're activated by our sun and by an enlightenment that we can't comprehend. So since they're in a marine kingdom realm, this cruise ship is literally sailing over it, but as it's going through the vortex, so if you look in the ocean, you see a big vortex, boom, you are going to literally get sucked right down to a different dimension, and they're going to place you into a different consciousness. So you basically left the Earth server, and you got placed to a different server, and you probably don't know what's going to happen to you or know what will happen to your physical appearance, because you're going to be sacrificed to something, which is why if you're going to travel to the Bermuda Triangle, you're going to at least know what you're getting into. Because this is not something to play with. Like, it's not a game, but it's a game. You know what I'm saying? How is a tornado formed in the middle of the ocean? It came from something or someone, and these people's feeble minds can't even comprehend what the they're looking at. But understand, they were to get placed into that, they're literally going to get sacrificed by something. As soon as they get sucked right into this, they'll go right to a lower dimension, and they're going to be harvested for their bodies and their organs, and they won't even know what the hell is going on because they've never even been in this type of frequency before in their whole life. They've been stuck on a 3D surface level realm, but as they go to a lower realm beneath our surface, they're gonna be looking like, what the hell going on? No phone's gonna work, no enlightenment will work, you'll be done for. And so that's where the missing people comes in, that's where the UFOs come in, because these UFOs are also placing a type of frequency amongst us as well. So if you were to travel, you say UFO, you're gonna be like, but you don't know who or what is in that UFO, because it could be you. It could be your future self telling you like, hey, like, get the hell up out of here, or it's like it's done deals and done it's wraps, because you can't comprehend who that even is in a UFO. That's why there's UFO sightings and there's missing ships. Because once you go to this type of triangle, this frequency is going to place you in their frequency, and once you get into their enlightenment, oh yeah, you smoke sausage, man. I love you. Have a great day.
Yo, he's so like in deep with what's going on. Like he's one of the out there conspiracy theorists I've ever heard, which is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It sounds like he's been looking into this for a long time. You know, he leads with the whole possibility of it being a portal and, you know, pyramids up under the water, to which that's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time I think I've heard that. Heard about underwater volcanoes, different things that can potentially be underwater, you know? So I don't see why we couldn't have pyramids up under there. Like, bruh, he ain't too far out there to where he's not making some sense. Like, no, I respect it. I definitely respect it. Y'all let me know. That would be dope though. But we still, like I said, we still don't know everything is under the ocean anyway. So I don't know. Interesting. Moving on.
What if I told you that no one on Earth knows how electric eels reproduce?
What are you talking about?
The eels have a reproduction cycle, and no matter where they are in the world, they all swim to the Bermuda Triangle. And we've tried to follow them in, but we can't. It's the Bermuda Triangle. And it's during the monsoon season.
So nobody's going near that.
No, it's storms. Like, no one would live.
They're hiding something.
No, they're
there.
hiding something. You could take an eel out of the water and put it into a bucket. Whenever that time came to reproduce, they would swim in the direction of the Bermuda Triangle.
What?
In the bucket. They have
no
something
way, they have an
in
internal
them.
compass.
Yes, they do. And it's weird. Like,
what happens to the people who like capture eels?
the people that have eels, like at aquariums and stuff, they die and they have to go get other ones because they will not reproduce unless they're in the Bermuda Triangle.
It could be another source or something else they're going for as well. Like, I was hearing about sharks and how they travel for food and different places they go and how long they travel at different times of the year. So, I don't know, maybe we need to put some type of tracking device. I don't even know how that would work or play out, but possibly putting a tracking device on the eel to verify this and see if this is true. I'm just not going to believe it just because I heard it here.
On October 12, 1989, in Porto Alegre, Brazil, the control tower noticed the arrival of a strange aircraft. On the screen it said it was Flight 513, but despite all attempts to communicate with them, the plane did not respond. The employees of the Porto Alegre airport were surprised by the landing of the plane that was supposed to be lost, and that did not respond to radio signals. So they went to check the interior of the aircraft. What they saw left them extremely shocked. Inside, they did not find anyone alive. All of the occupants had been dead for years, decomposed. In fact, upon entering the cockpit, the captain's corpse was still holding the controls. Could it be assumed that the lifeless body landed the plane? A shocking story, but it sounds like a creepypasta to me.
Nah, I've heard about this story. We actually did a video on it a long time ago, man. I don't know. Sounds like a movie, though. I'm waiting on somebody to create that.
Now this is scary. Jack Knight, a popular social media influencer known for his adventurous travels, embarked on a journey to explore the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle and share his experiences with his followers. Jack's posts from the Bermuda Triangle seemed normal at the beginning, but started showcasing the mysterious side of the area very quickly. As he delved deeper into its mysteries, he stumbled upon something that sent chills down his spine. During one of his live streams, Jack encountered a lone individual who seemed out of his mind, muttering quietly about strange occurrences in the triangle. He claimed to have seen things that are unexplainable. Jack's followers were both intrigued but concerned as they watched the encounter unfold in real time. However, shortly after this encounter, Jack practically vanished without a trace. His last post showed up visibly distressed with the enigmatic stranger in the background. Concerned viewers and authorities alike launched a search for Jack, but the Bermuda Triangle's reputation for swallowing ships and aircraft added an air of uncertainty to the rescue efforts. Jack's disappearance
Is this real?
left his followers with unanswered questions, prompting speculation about the Bermuda Triangle's mysteries. It served as a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.
See, listen, man, just like the dude earlier in this video, going out and doing documentaries and different things like that, taking it upon yourself and putting it in your own hands and going out and try to solve these mysteries, going to these unknown places without doing background checks and all this type of stuff like that, man. Y'all can't be out here doing that, bro. You just don't need it. It just is not safe. It's not the way to move around. I'm sorry. Find something else, man. Research it from afar like we're doing. From the safety of your own home. Do that.
Okay, TikTok. If you guys don't know what's going on, researchers discovered 2 massive crystal pyramids on the bottom of the ocean floor in the Bermuda Triangle. If you guys don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is, you need to look it up right now. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. Legend says any plane or
So here we go, another person talking about it. It's funny how you don't hear something, but then once you hear it, you start hearing it all over the place in different places and over again. It keeps showing up. Here we are with these pyramids underwater again, possibly.
anything that goes to the Bermuda Triangle or over it supposedly ends up in a different dimension. I don't know, that's just a legend. But if this article is true, and this is an actual picture of the crystal pyramids found in the ocean, then this is actually bigger than Egypt. We gotta get researchers down there and figure out what's going on. I mean, I think this has connection to do with the crystal skulls that they're always finding. I mean, they're crystal pyramids, crystal skulls. Put 2 and 2 together here. I told you guys. They only searched like 10% of the ocean. There is way more they haven't discovered.
What if those pyramids are like the theories about the pyramids in Egypt and different places like that of possibly holding energy or being able to possess or have this, you know what I mean, this built up of energy that it can one day release? Wouldn't that be interesting? Do you imagine what type of energy is released from the water, from the ocean, from up under? I don't know. A lot of conspiracy theories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know. Was there any new ones or have you heard all of these? And we should maybe go deeper. Y'all let me know. Stick around and stay tuned till next one I'm gone. You want to know something interesting and crazy? We still don't know what happened to flight, what is it? MH370, Malaysian Airlines. We still don't know what happened with it. I want to dive into the conspiracy theories tonight. Let's check them out.
Remember Malaysian Airlines? This flight disappeared, nobody knew where it went. But around that same time, there's this guy that received a voicemail, and on the voicemail is like a decoded message. He posted this on Twitter, and you know the military alphabet? So like Delta, Tango, Alpha, Charlie, right? What happened was he recorded this whole code and wrote it out. Now the voicemail, it translated to this code that says S danger SOS. It is dire for you to evacuate. Be cautious, they are not human. And then gave like a whole long number. Now check this out. When this guy received this voicemail was the day that the Malaysian Airlines flight vanished. So there's theories and conspiracies that the voicemail he actually received was transmitted through the Malaysian Airlines black box. Oh, what's even crazier, that long number that he received too, that is the last coordinates of the flight. What? Yeah, so check this out. This guy on Twitter posted it. Now, what happened was he started getting stalked. I think around like 3 a.m. at night, he saw this car parked outside of his house and he noticed.
Now that's interesting because if you listen to the stories and news reports and everything about this flight, the pilot did receive a call from some unknown number with a person on the line with an alias. You know what I mean? A lot of speculation points to the pilot as what could have possibly happened with this flight. I think where he was from kind of coincided with where they ended up being or the last known whereabouts of it after it had went off course and went to this place. Like, it's a lot of things pointing to that pilot, man.
The most insane theory is the one of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which randomly disappeared with 239 passengers on board. To this day, nobody truly knows what happened to it, as it was such a common flight. The pilot communicates with the control tower, and the last words he says are "Good night, Malaysia." This brings up the theory that the pilot had turned insane and nosedived the plane into the ocean. The Malaysian 340 connects to a communications tower after 2 seconds. The plane disappears from all radars. For a plane to disappear from civilian radar, it can only mean that the plane has lost all power or has been
And that's something they were pointing to. They were saying that it seemed like the power was being turned off manually. Again, pointing to that pilot. You see where we're going here?
manually turned off or it exploded in 2 seconds. But if the plane is losing power, it couldn't have traveled as far as it did from here. When it lost the signal, some people think extraterrestrials are behind us or that it's a black hole. But I think it's a cover-up. The main journalist in charge of this case disappeared in 2020. Apparently, the Malaysian army could see the plane for almost an hour and it circled for 20 minutes. It was even spotted on military radar, but nobody reacted. And the strangest thing of all is that apparently before the plane took off, a clandestine shipment of over a ton of military equipment was smuggled in without passing through the security gates. So what do you think, was it the government or the pilots?
And that's like I was saying before, man. You would think after 9/11, different things. You go to the airport now, how long it take you to get through there? A long time, right? Why? Because of security, right? So how does something like this happen? That's the question. How?
What did the missing plane MH370 actually encounter? On the 8th of March, 2014, the Malaysian plane MH370 disappeared without a trace. Though many people came up with theories on what may have actually happened, the case remained inconclusive until recently. Well, you see, the footage you're about to see was just declassified from satellite imagery, and it's rather strange. Take a look. As you can see, strange objects descended from the sky and started circling the plane before it disappeared. Well, some think that this was a planned attack, while others think that this is an abduction. But till this day, nobody knows.
That's sad, man. That many people, bro. And the fact that we have no answers. Now, another thing I heard as well is that I think the Malaysian government, don't quote me on this, but allegedly is not cooperating when it comes to that phone call. As far as a person with a different alias and the SIM card from the phone, everybody was talking about that type of thing. There's no cooperation there.
There's one of the most evil, vicious Navy bases in the history of the planet. They do stuff that would make look like Santa Claus. Diego Garcia.
So
wait. Diego Garcia. That's where that first Malaysian plane is. That's where it landed. It had 4 scientists on it. 20 scientists, but 4 had filed for patents. It was Malaysia, but they worked out of Austin, Texas, for Texas Instruments. And the ones behind that plane was Texas Instruments, the government, and Boeing, who made the plane. And everybody is stupid enough to believe that a plane almost a block long can just disappear. With the electronics we have, all the technology we have. So we got 4 of those top scientists that had filed for patents worth $400 billion. So if 1, 2, 3 of us, and your brother, 4, we filed for patents. And then here's a friend of yours who's with us. So 5 of us filed for patents. If we die before the patent is granted, then your brother, who wasn't on the plane with us, he owns them all. So those 4 scientists and the 5th person was the Carlyle Group. They own them all now. The patent was granted 3 days after the plane.
What the?
Okay. And so what I'm saying is, this is a game, and if you can't follow that thread, then you don't see it.
That's crazy.
Huh?
What were the patents for?
Well, the patents was, you heard people talk about they're gonna one day inject you and can control you. Well, these guys come up with something, they don't have to inject you. They just put in this room and you come in and you smell it. That's what they were for.
bro, are you kidding me? Is there any way we could figure this out? Like, I don't even know if I want to figure this out, bro. This is the type of stuff people go like missing for. Nah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Moving on. That's scary.
An airplane went missing and evidence shows that UFOs are responsible. Back in 2014, a Malaysian airplane went missing shortly after taking off, and now new videos are emerging showing UFOs swarming the airplane right before it disappears. Sounds crazy, I get it, but here's the evidence. Malaysian authorities said an unidentified blob was around the plane at the time of the disappearance.
What do you see on
It's a blob. It's a blob. Unidentified blob.
Dude, and Chinese satellites picked up 3 objects right next to the airplane. What a coincidence. The video shows 3 objects swarming the airplane. And guess what? The American satellite that recorded this video is called NROL-22, and it orbited right next to the airplane at the time of its disappearance, proving the satellite was in position to record the video. Here's the weird part. The craft was carrying a confidential cargo that hasn't been publicly disclosed, so people are thinking the UFOs intercepted the plane for the cargo. And to top it off, the Malaysian Prime Minister said that the CIA is covering something up.
Sounds like Project Bluebeam to me, don't it? Like, listen to all the theories that you're hearing about it. Cargo, mysterious calls, patents. How can this many stories surround something like this and not something be true? I'm just saying.
The Malaysian flight that went missing. So apparently some footage came out from the satellite that had caught the flight. You will see in the image, the flight's just regularly flying. Then all of a sudden, one dot appears next to this flight.
Oh shit.
And it's following the flight. Then all of a sudden, 2 dots. And then it's 3 dots. You'll see them go in a circular motion as if they're tracking the flight. And then, while that's all happening, the flight just goes, and I not. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, that doesn't actually happen in the real world.
Vanished.
That single-handedly ruled out everything because it's caught on satellite footage.
That's fucking crazy.
I understand the UFOs, but what baffles me more is that it just vanished.
Gone.
Done.
And the fact that 270 something lives lost or missing, and this thing just still goes unresolved.
These are videos humans were never meant to see. Okay, so we all know how Malaysia Flight 370 completely disappeared without a trace. Well, the video I'm about to show you shows what people are saying is Flight 370 disappearing through a portal with 3 orbs rotating around it. Do you think this video is real or fake? Either way, it's extremely interesting and it's completely going viral. Here it is.
If I was watching a paranormal video, I would swear those were orbs. See, and when it comes to that video, we've seen it a couple of times now. A piece of me was like, I wonder if this is the video they just toss out. Get our scent off the trail. Give them some type of CGI style video. We don't know that's what it is. I'm just telling you some of my thoughts surrounding some of these things. You know what I mean? Don't know.
Netflix coming out with a miniseries about Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is the best thing to happen so far in 2023. This story is something that makes me feel like I could seriously benefit from a straitjacket. Malaysia.
So it's already out? Oh, I'm gonna have to sit my family down to watch this. Was it good? Y'all let me know, was it good in the comment section.
Airlines Flight 370 is the most absurd flight that I've ever heard of, and probably the biggest mystery in all of aviation. In March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off with 239 people on board from Kuala Lumpur, headed to Beijing. After the plane took off, they lost contact with air traffic control, obviously never arrived in Beijing, and all these years later, still nobody really knows exactly what happened. There's like a million conspiracy theories about what people think exactly happened. I personally think that there was either a decompression on board or the pilots had something to do with it. I used to think that it was only like the result of a decompression because of the loss of contact with air traffic control. That makes sense to me because if there was a decompression, the pilots would become unconscious and they wouldn't be able to contact air traffic control. And this is something that happened before with Helios Flight 522. There was a decompression and the plane just continued to fly until it crashed. However, I definitely think that there's something more to this story because you could see where the plane took off in Kuala Lumpur, lost air traffic control, then made all of these turns, then continued to fly and crashed somewhere in the South Indian Ocean. So in my mind, if it was just a decompression and the pilots passed out, the plane would continue to fly on its scheduled route on autopilot until...
And I actually watched the one about that other flight he talked about. And when that happened to them, the pilots passed out. But the plane kept going. And when I think they sent military up after it to see what was going on, to expect or whatever was going on. And when the military planes came up beside it, it saw them slumped over in there until one guy, I don't know if he came from the back. I think he was one of the stewardess on the, or the flight attendants on the plane. And, which was crazy because if I recall, he was working like an overtime. You know what I mean? Somebody couldn't work that day and he just happened to volunteer. He ran up there and grabbed the mic and was just trying to tell them and talk to them, but it still ended up going down. And it went down and crashed. So, but to say what was happening, the pilots were slumped over, but the thing was still on like autopilot cruising until it went out. So yeah.
Till it either ran out of gas or something else happened. And there were a lot of things that suggest that Captain Zahari had something to do with it.
Yep.
Here is a picture of him in his house with a flight simulator, and it said that he actually programmed that exact flight route into the simulator and flew it shortly before he actually operated Malaysia Flight 370.
And he looked up some things on his computer that they found as well. There's a lot of things pointing to this pilot.
He also worked as a pilot for over 33 years and had over 18,000 flight hours, which that is a ton of hours. Obviously, it's different between flight attendants and pilots, but for me as a flight attendant, I would say average hours worked a month is between 70 and 100 hours. So obviously with 18,000 hours, he was very familiar with the plane, air traffic control, everything involved with the job. So to me, that means that he wouldn't make a stupid, simple mistake. Also, the last thing that people heard on the plane was Goodnight Malaysian 370 from Captain Zahari, and shortly after that, they lost contact with air traffic control.
But that was because he was telling them goodnight because he was supposed to be switching over to the next air traffic control once he got in their airspace, is what I was under assumption of from a lot of the information I saw before or listened to in a video.
Shortly after that, the transponder was turned off, and obviously the plane crashed and was not really ever found. So considering the amount of flight hours that he had, it makes me think that he knew how to lose contact with air traffic control and how to kind of go off the radar. Obviously, it's...
Now that's a fact. That's a fact. He did know how to do that.
It's hard to know exactly what happened because a lot of it seems to be just pure speculation. But the entire story is absurd, and it's insane to think that that actually can happen. 2014 was not that long ago.
Malaysian Flight 370 was shot down, and I saw it happen with my own two eyes. Unless you've been living under a rock, the case of Malaysian Flight 370 is the biggest unsolved mystery in aviation history. I've seen multiple conspiracies as to what happened, where people believe the plane was hijacked by some sort of extremist group, or they were shot down by the Malaysian government, but they are both far from right, and I know because I watched it happen. For context, the flight took off at 12:41 a.m. and reached cruising altitude by 1:01 a.m. Everything seemed normal until its aircraft communication addressing and reporting system and the plane's transponder, which communicated with air traffic control, were switched off. The plane veered off its original path, and Malaysian military radar eventually lost contact with it over the Andaman Sea. This act would be what engages the largest search effort in human history. Initial search efforts were focused on the South China Sea, but as it was discovered that the flight had turned west, the search moved to the Strait of Malacca and the Andaman Sea. Satellite signals suggested the plane might be anywhere on two arcs, one stretching southward from Java into the Indian Ocean and the other stretching northward across Asia. On March 24th, based on final signals analysis, and the Malaysian government concluded that the flight had crashed in the Indian Ocean, and it was unlikely that anyone survived. They were wrong. The first piece of debris, a right-wing flaperon, was discovered on a beach in Réunion in July 2015. In the following year and a half, 26 more pieces of debris were found on shores of several countries, some of which were identified as parts of Flight 370. Now that you get the gist of it, most of this information is correct, except the fact that they are missing one key piece of evidence, the plane's altitude history. At the time, I was working on a cargo ship, and our technology on the boat was capable of identifying rapidly moving objects on both axes, which allowed us to virtually observe the horrifying feat of Malaysian flight. Signals recorded by our radar show the missing airliner climbing to an abnormal 45,000 feet, 10,000 feet above the traditional flight altitude of airplanes. Within a near instant, the plane began making a descent, but it was at a speed that I had never seen before. The plane descended a total of 20,000 feet in the span of 60 seconds. I began to realize that this was no normal matter, and I felt obligated to investigate. As the plane's altitude continued to decline below 20,000 feet, I noted down the predicted coordinates of this plane on our radar and immediately veered our ship in that direction. I recall my shipmates questioning me over the radio captain. "What is going on up there?" I tried to explain my observation to him, but it was no help. I was rapidly approaching the diving plane. But something caught my eye, something far in the distance that made me realize a potential roadblock in my path to the plane. It was an island, and the island wasn't empty. It was inhabited, and there was what seemed to be a large gray facility there. Checking my GPS and my controls, I searched for what I was looking at, wondering if I should even be veering off our shipping path in the first place. I continued to look, switching between my view of the screen and my distant perception of the island, until I saw two gigantic ships in the shape of aircraft carriers heading in my direction. I received a buzz over our intercom. The call was coming from those ships. I continued to head forward as I had no time to waste. But when I answered the radio, I was greeted with a stern, cold voice. "This is the United States government. You are entering American waters and are no longer in fishing waters. As you are breaking international water laws, we are warning you that your boat will be shot down if you choose to continue to approach this direction. Do not engage with any surrounding aircraft, whether they are aquatic or aviators." Confused yet skeptical,
Like, they literally gonna do that to a boat?
I decided to bring my boat to a stop. I responded. "There is a plane crashing further north. I was going to investigate it. I can forward you the coordinates if you like." A long silence followed. He said we don't need them, and the intercom was disconnected. I watched as the boats turned around and began heading in the direction of the plane. I never said anything about my encounter initially, as I thought that the boats were going to rescue the passengers. But as I returned back to my home a month later after transporting cargo, I noticed on the news that the flight was still missing, meaning the United States government had not come forward with their information.
Trust me, bro. I'm skeptical of this story too, but I'm listening. You know what I mean? Especially when he said a boat could be shot down. It's in the water though. It's not in the air.
I fear that they will find me for releasing this information, but something should have been done by now. The families of those innocent passengers deserve justice and closure.
Do y'all remember the story about Malaysian Airlines MH370 going missing? Well, if not, then I got a treat for y'all. Let's get it. On March 8th of 2014, the Malaysian Airlines plane MH370 was heading from Kuala Lumpur International Airport to its planned destination of Beijing Capital International Airport. Between the departure between Kuala Lumpur Airport and the Beijing Capital International Airport, what could have happened? There's always been a few theories circling this, and I got two of them. It all literally could have just been a freak accident. Got lost on the way, bad weather, errors within the plane, anything. But there is evidence and speculation that something else could have happened. If you're traveling across the Indian Ocean, you will come across an island, a military island, by the name of Diego Garcia, at the size of just 14 kilometers. Well, what does that have to do with the MH370? Alright, let me tell y'all. Just 10 days later, after the Malaysian Airlines and MH370 were finally pronounced missing, a photo in an anonymous email spawns out of nowhere from someone that works at IBM named Philip Wood. And this email alone sent the whole internet into a frenzy. It took no time for the people to go to work. Once the image was discovered, it was pinpointed that the location that the image was captured at was Diego Garcia Island. Some people believe, like similar islands that we've seen before, the same thing could have happened with Diego Garcia Island. And also that it could be a lot more underneath the scene and the surface than what appears to the eye. A lot of people believe that the MH370 was hijacked by military personnel and then taken to the base of Diego Garcia, in which all the passengers on board were taken underground and then tortured. These are the other conspiracies surrounding the MH370 and the Malaysian Airlines flight that went missing.
Let's read some of these. It was shot down during a joint military exercise between the U.S. and Thailand and South Korea seas. That doesn't say Korea. I can't see what it says. But was hijacked by terrorists, was forced to land at Diego Garcia, the British-owned island in the Indian Ocean. So that must have been up there. Must have been South Indian Sea. Home to a major U.S. military base. An unknown weapon plucked aircraft out of the sky without leaving a shred of evidence. I can't really read this one. It was a mass of plane passengers and crew of MH370 were incapacitated by the unknown unresponsive crew hypoxia event. The rogue pilot, which would believe the plane's captain, made a deliberate descent into the Indian Ocean, which I think that one out of all of them is the one that seems to be closest to where all the evidence is pointing towards.
And while none of us truly ever know the truth, all we can do is assume, but just know nothing is what it seems like. And whatever they saying the truth is, that sure ain't the truth, because we never get the truth.
This is one of the craziest conspiracy theories. The Malaysian Flight 370 that disappeared with 239 passengers on it. Until this day, nobody knows what happened. So this was a very common flight. They were flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. And as they're flying, the pilot communicates with the tower. And the last words he says
"Good night."
are "Good night, Malaysia." 1 minute.
But what people are leaving out that is sort of kind of normal when you're switching over to another air traffic control. So how you end the call, it's dark, it's late, it's nighttime, good night to them, and you're supposed to pick up, but he never did for the next one.
And 43 seconds later, right here, it disappears off of all the radars. For a plane to disappear off a civilian radar, it can only mean that the plane lost complete power or that it was manually turned off. But if a plane loses power, it wouldn't have been able to travel as far as it did from right here the moment it lost signal. Some people think aliens were behind this or a black hole, but I think it was a cover-up. Part 2.
A Twitter user named Tyler uploaded a video about a strange voicemail he received. Let's watch the video and pay close attention.
Sierra, Delta, Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra.
The voicemail message seems to be encoded using a phonetic alphabet, commonly used by the military and police. It's a way to spell out a message when communication over the radio is difficult. Tyler figured out that the message spelled Danger SOS. The message urged him to evacuate and provided coordinates. Tyler received a message from another user which, when translated, referred to Tyler's previous post about the voicemail. Tyler then shared an incident where someone was taking pictures of his house late at night. Furthermore, the given coordinates are close to the location where the Malaysian airplane went down. The theory suggests that the voicemail contains the black box recording, which typically contains the last interactions of a plane before a crash. The theory proposes that the message is an SOS to save our ship, warning of something non-human. There is speculation that the recent occurrence of large solar flares causing electromagnetic activity in the atmosphere is amplifying the voicemail signals, resulting in random people receiving the calls. The user suggests that the timing of these events aligns with the solar flares occurring closer to southern Asia and Australia.
We need to look in and see if there's any truth to this. Where's Tyler now? You know what I mean? What happened? Does he go in great detail and tell the story and continues to give updates, stuff like that? We need to know.
The missing MH370 flight. A fact-based timeline. March 8, 2014, 042 MIT. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 departs from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia en route to Beijing Capital International Airport in China, carrying 239 passengers, 1:19 MYT. The last voice communication from the cockpit is made with the words "Good night, Malaysian 3-7-0-1-21 MYT. The position symbol of Flight 370 disappears from KLACC radar. indicating the aircraft's transponder is no longer functioning. The plane changes its course towards the west to 22 MYT. The last primary radar contact is made by the Malaysian military. The plane continues to fly for 6 hours. Plane was scheduled to land at Beijing Airport at 6:30 MIT, 8:19 MYT. Last automatic satellite communication between the aircraft and Inmarsat communications network, sometime between 8:19 MYT and 9:15 MYT. The plane disappears. 9:15 MYT. The aircraft does not respond to an hourly automated handshake attempt. Some possible trajectories were estimated after the last known location. These trajectories were calculated based on the last Inmarsat pings, which occurred until 8:19 MYT. The only information these pings provide is the distance between the plane and the satellite, meaning that additional data and estimates were used for a possible trajectory of the airplane. The missing
Listen, man, I have a lot of questions still. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do as well. There's still a lot of things that have gone unsolved about this entire thing. Questions, why wasn't there like any military pilots or aircraft sent out there to investigate while it was still in the air? That was a question that I have. And we need to definitely look into what Dick Gregory was saying about those scientists. Were they on board? Was that possible? It's interesting nonetheless, man. You know, this is going to go down as one of the most mysterious things that ever happened in our lifetime. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this video, man. Till next one, I'm gone.
This is not a conspiracy. This is scary. So in 2018, scientists discovered a black hole really, really far. Like I want to say it's like 16 million light years away. Something crazy. Whoa. Super far from us. They're watching it literally swallow a star.
Oof.
It was sucking a star in.
Did it move or the star move?
The star was getting sucked into this black, like, so it was just like light stream.
Seriously?
Black hole.
Where is it going?
Listen to this. What they thought they knew of black holes, well, they don't know a lot. Stuff gets sucked into it because it's just this mad force of gravitational pull that just sucks everything in.
Yeah.
Right.
But this year, they looked at the same black hole and it was spitting the star back out. Like, so light and stuff was coming out of this black hole. This, like, so it was like regurgitating this star.
Just
but,
recycling it.
Like broken apart though. So it's like, what's on the other side of that black hole?
It was the star was broken?
Yeah.
Well, I thought a star was just a ball of gas.
It is. But light and stuff was coming out of it. It sucked the star in with the light and it was spitting it straight back out.
That's
3 years
terrifying.
later. Yeah. So that made me question a lot of things.
Do you remember listening to what a black hole sounds like?
Oh,
they dropped
yeah.
it this year.
I've actually never heard this.
Dude, that sounds
Me
like
neither.
the underworld.
That's
what
terrifying.
a black hole, that's what a black hole sounds like.
Hate that.
That's what I'm going to sleep to tonight. Just
Now, everything I've ever heard of something being sucked into a black hole, we've never heard of anything coming out of it. We heard that it's so, like he said, it's strong gravitational pull. Once it pulls it in there, it stretches it, devours it, does what it do. Nothing, it always says nothing, not even life can escape a black hole. So I don't know where he heard that from, but I need to see that video to see that actually happen, because I've never heard that in anything I've watched, read, researched, nothing like that. So that's new.
Nobody knows what's inside a black hole, and I don't know any volunteers to find out.
Nope.
Even if there were a volunteer, they would go in, they'll find out what's on the other side of a black hole, but none of the rest of us will ever know.
Nope.
Because they cannot communicate back out, because nothing comes out of a black hole.
See?
Right? They can't even send an SOS with radio signals, because radio waves travel at the speed of light, and the speed of light is insufficient to escape the black hole. But the theories of the universe, general theory of relativity, that gives us the black hole in the first place, if you take those equations into the black hole, it tells us that an entire other space-time opens up in front of you. As the future history of the universe is left behind, a whole other universe opens up in front of you. It's freaky, but the general theory of relativity has worked in every other way we've applied it. So this is particularly intriguing to us all. That perhaps the universe with its black holes is just this sort of Swiss cheese of universes in some higher dimension where you might have access. So it's intriguing, and I want to know the answer too. In fact, if I know I'm going to die soon, send me into a black hole. That way I'll die knowing, rather than just drooling on the bed, you know, just or getting hit by a bus. Launch me into a black hole. That's how I want to die.
And I'm still of the belief, part of me is of the belief that a black hole is like a portal to another type of dimension, galaxy, something like that. That's I'm still of the belief, partially of the belief that it's that. You're going from one thing to the other. You ever play Mario, how you go through the tunnel and end up somewhere else? That's kind of might be what I be thinking about when I be thinking about a black hole. Just, that might be what I think about.
Did you know what will happen if a black hole and a white hole collide? A black hole is a region in space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape its pull. Similarly, a white hole is believed to be the exact opposite of black hole, where instead of matter being pulled in, it spits out incredible amount of energy and light. When a black hole and a white hole collides, the phenomenon is known as black hole bounce, and there is two possible scenarios that can happen when they collide. First is that the collision between them would give rise to a cosmic scale event, such that of a big bang destroying our universe or maybe creating a new one. This would also release enormous amount of energy and radiation, outshining our entire galaxies. Imagine the brightest fireworks you've ever seen, multiplied by billions. Secondly, the energy emitted from this cosmic explosion might possibly tear the fabric of space-time, giving birth to what's known as a wormhole. A wormhole is a theoretical passage through space-time, connecting distant parts of the universe or even different universes altogether. This collision between black hole and white hole might be our future of space travels, where we can travel to another universe just in a snap of our finger. If you find this video interesting, comment down your
See, that's what makes space like super dope and cool to me, man. Just knowing that something like that can happen, and then just the unknowns of everything is what's intriguing and keep me coming back day after day.
You mean to tell me that on July 25th, 2011, astronomers discovered a water reservoir in a black hole? Can one of you freaking explain that, please? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
What is he looking on? I need to find out where they're getting this information from. Seriously? This is what also makes it scary, bro. That part of the unknown. Sheesh.
There's a supermassive black hole at the center of every galaxy.
Yeah.
But there's also other black holes that aren't necessarily in the center of galaxies.
Yeah, so these little ones were little, you know, they're a few times the mass of the sun, and they're from collapsed stars.
Right.
So they are stars at the end of their life, very bigger than the sun, more massive than the sun, but they run out of their fuel and they start to collapse because gravity squashes them. And if they're sufficiently massive, then there's nothing that can stop the collapse. And so they collapse, as far as we know, to a point, right? Essentially an infinitely dense point. We don't really know what happens we don't know what happens right in the middle. But they collapse to such an extent that there's a region around it from which light can't escape. And so nothing can escape, and that's a black hole.
Do you know the story of the Amazon rainforest? The Amazon rainforest used to be thriving with cities, and they found that out very recently because of something called LiDAR. And LiDAR is this thing where they fly over the jungle, and
it's like radar kicking back to tell them about different things that's in the jungle.
You have this light-emitting radar that goes down, and it finds all these grids, and they see irrigation, they see grids that matched out cities. They think the Europeans came through and killed everybody with smallpox, and then the jungle just took over itself. And then what you see as the Amazon rainforest, you want to really freak out? That's a man-made rainforest. The plant life. Most of what the Amazon is from early agriculture that just got out of control after the people were dead. There was millions and millions of people living in these cities. that were in the Amazon.
Millions.
They just didn't have the antibodies to deal with the fucking European diseases. You think about what the Europeans, when they came over to America, they killed 90% of the Native Americans, all with diseases. There's a certain species of hornets that flies into honeybees. I think it's Japanese hornets.
Well, before we get too far into what Jordan, because he's really speaking some stuff right now. I'm super intrigued about where he's going next. But back to the black hole thing that he was talking about, and things that I've heard about, like they can pop up anywhere. And I've heard about stars collapsing and imploding and different things like that, and them forming a black hole. So with that thought process, they can, I mean, like at the same time, they believe, some people's theories, they believe that we're inside, the earth is inside of a black hole. How can we refute that? There's no way, right?
They fly into these hives of honeybees and just decimate the honeybees. They cut their heads off with their mandibles, like chomp, 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 and they're so much bigger. So they fly in, and there's this slow motion video of these enormous hornets flying in and decapitating thousands and thousands of honeybees. The honeybees, they're so outsized, they're much, much larger, and they're much more powerful, but the honeybees figured out a strategy to kill the hornets. And what they do is they surround them. They get on top of them, and then they beat their wings. They all generate heat. And then they kill the hornets with the heat of their body.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anything that's like particular.
Nah, they figured out, bro. You might your height and weight, you might beat us in size, but we got numbers, fam. All we gotta do is come up with a strategy. And they figured out that their number is greater than theirs, and they can do a lot. That's what happened. Yeah, keep coming around doing something to us. We're gonna figure something out.
Really bizarre.
Yeah, we did one on organs. The first episode of the season was organ trafficking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we all think it's a rumor and it can't really exist, and it's a Hollywood depiction of stuff going on. One of the most disturbing interviews I ever did was with a guy in Colombia called the Wrecker, which his name is the Deshuesador, which means the wrecker or the deboner. And it was horrible because he's telling us how he does what he does, and he cuts people alive. He then showed me a video of them with a person and some body parts, some organs. The video was really horrific, and we decided not to air it. There was no part of me that I understood what he did. But then we find out that this trade is very much alive. We eventually landed an interview with a patient who had gotten one of these organs on the black market. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "I know you're judging me, but what would you do if it was you or your loved one?"
So ChatGPT is a large language model trained artificial intelligence, which is often surprisingly good at answering questions you might have about how to do things. But if you imagine that this thing just gets a little better than it is, which is inevitable, that it's going to make actual insight that much harder to spot, right? In other words, if you become expert at operating this thing, at querying it, and it becomes better at understanding a wider range of topics because they turn it loose on everything that's written on the internet, for example, right? Then the point is the ability to fake expertise is going to go through the roof.
Everything else.
Never thought about that. I never thought about them faking knowing something. That form of manipulation right there could wreak so much havoc. So much havoc. Holy snap. Now that's a new fear unlocked for me. New fear unlocked right there. Wow.
This has kind of moved along technologically, innovation.
No, things mostly haven't moved.
Really?
Yeah, we all have this sense of, oh my God, the dizzying pace of progress.
Right.
And then I always set this problem this way. I say, if you subtract the screens in our lives, so our phones, their flat screen TVs, all that stuff, and you forget about style issues, because style changes. How do you know you're not in 1973? More or less, we don't have George Jetson stuff everywhere. The distance between 1952, where we have the first thermonuclear device in the test known as Ivy Mike, and 1902, before we even had powered flight, is like 10,000 years. It's enormous.
Right.
The difference between 1973 and 2023 is mostly due to computers. Computers and communication are the two really big expanding things.
So ChatGPT is a large...
Think about that. Think about that. The distance between the two, 73 to 2000 or whatever he said. The big thing is computers, everything and communication, and everything else has been a play off of that. We really haven't intuitively invented anything nuanced, like groundbreakingly new. No, everything has just been a build off of that. So have we really gone far? Change my opinion on that. Tell me, what else? You can't say electric vehicles, because that's still part of the car. You can't say, because that's still off of phones and computers. Everything. I might really have to sit with that for a minute and think about that. That's pretty good.
Large language model trained artificial intelligence, which is often surprisingly good at answering questions you might have about how to do things. But if you imagine that this thing just gets a little better than it is, which is inevitable, that it's going to make actual insight that much harder to spot, right? In other words, if you become...
Despite being black and a black hole is not a dark, empty space. In his theory of relativity, Einstein predicted how black holes are formed. When a massive star dies, it leaves a smaller, remnant core behind. If the core's mass is at least 3 times bigger than the mass of our sun, gravity overwhelms all other forces and turns the core into a black hole. But don't let its name fool you. A black hole isn't a hole at all, but rather a huge amount of matter packed into a very small space. Think of the sun, with its gravitational field 28 times stronger than Earth's. If you were to walk on the sun, you'd be 28 times heavier than you are on Earth. Now, imagine squeezing 4 suns into something that's just 15 miles in diameter, the distance you can cover in a 30-minute drive. What would the gravity be like there? A black hole's gravity is so strong that even light can't get out. That's why you'll never see one, but you can detect it from the gamma ray bursts that the hole emits. These bursts, discovered by Stephen Hawking, now carry his name, Hawking radiation. Stephen Hawking himself believed that black holes can be passages to another universe. So, if you were to fall into one, would you find yourself in an alternate dimension? Every black hole has an event horizon, the point at which gravitational pull becomes so strong you can't escape from it. The point of no return. If you found yourself outside of that point, you'd see that stars are twisted around a perfect circle of darkness. As you start being pulled toward a black hole, you'd be moving faster and faster, accelerated by the force of gravity.
Despite being black, though, did anybody else notice like the pause after he's... All right, I'm gonna leave it alone, but I just thought that was pretty crazy. But, you know, everything you said in the video isn't something we haven't already heard of, whether it be conspiracy theory or not, as people believe to be straight up fact. It's something that, like Neil deGrasse Tyson said, you know, we'll never really know. And if somebody actually goes in there, they'll know, but we'll never get the information back. So we'll continue to speculate.
Listen to this. That's the sound of a black hole. Nah. Now, is it me, or does that sound like something's happening in that black hole?
It sound like Kong sleeping is what it sounds like. Something Kong from the movie. It sounds like him sleeping.
You know, what's even scarier is that we only have theories of what happens when you enter a black hole. No one knows. No one knows. We have the spaghetti theory, which is you instantly die and you get strong like spaghetti, but nobody really knows that. Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck really happens in that thing where it's sounding like that? Imagine if a black hole was just a galaxy black hole, aka world destroyer. That's like kind of wild.
What if a black hole is where the life is that we seem to be searching for? Anybody ever thought about that? What if that's where the life is and we just can't, we don't know, so therefore we don't try to enter. So that's why we're struggling to try to find the life. Maybe that could be the answer. I wonder if they ever thought about that.
Theories you never thought of. A Reddit user found a black hole on Google Maps and users couldn't figure out what it was. In 1962, an Italian magazine carried a story on how the world would look in 2022. The average person walks past around 7 psychopaths every day. That might not be true. NASA's Curiosity rover discovered a strange rock formation on Mars that looks like an alien doorway. Here's a better look. Only 66% of 18 to 24-year-olds are confident the world is round, according to a survey. And supposedly, a prisoner who died and was brought back to life claims his life sentence has technically ended. Dang.
That last one, though, what did they say when you're technically, what is a heart attack? So is that life sentence over with? You know what? Bump that one. Let's go back to the one where you walk past at least 7 psychopaths a day. That's going to sit with me now. I go outside of my home. What if it's the ones in your home, though? People you live with. I got to start watching the people I live with. What if you walk past 7 psychopaths a day? That's crazy. Wow.
The Earth. The Earth has been sucked into a black hole. The European Organisation for Nuclear Research is at the heart of a lot of crazy conspiracy theories, including people who believe that when CERN discovered the Higgs boson in 2012, they inadvertently created a black hole and Earth was sucked into it. These people think that the world ended in 2012. But we haven't realised it yet, which is why some people think.
What do you think? What? Some people think what? I hate when they cut the video off and leave you on a cliffhanger like that. What? What is it? You know what I mean? But here's another person that thinks that, the Earth has been sucked into, or he's stating what people are saying, the Earth has been sucked into a black hole, man. I think I'm just talking off the top of my head with some of this stuff. No, but a lot of people have that theory and think that the Earth could be potentially sitting in a black hole.
Scientists recently heard an echo, a sound, that was coming out of a black hole 200 years ago. An international team of scientists has recorded a sound that came from the supermassive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy, stemming from an event around 200 years ago. The sound was emitted during an intense period of activity as the dark hole known as Sagittarius A stirred from a state of dormancy, gobbling up gas and dust. Okay, so I'm going to play you the sound because it's absolutely crazy, and then we're going to talk about what this points to about what is actually inside of a black hole, because I know that's something that we've all wondered about our whole lives, right? But doesn't it also kind of sound funny? I've heard this noise, like I've heard this before. So I have a theory about what this noise is. I just feel like if we're being honest with ourselves, there's really only one explanation for what that noise could be, and I think it really points to what has been inside of black holes all this time. I think it's just a little guy, sitting at the piano, and he's just trying to play us a song. And I think that's really sweet.
I ain't gonna lie, that thing sounded like a video game. I was like, yo, she gotta be trolling. She gotta be trolling us.
They're trying to open a portal. They've actually done it before. The last time was in 2016.
On July 5th, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN, is restarting the Large Hadron Collider. The LHC has been in use since 2010, and it just had some...
Now, I think that machine, CERN, can create a black hole. I'm of that theory.
updates done, and now it's firing up again. But it's not a conspiracy. They're being very clear about what they're doing. The LHC collides particles at extremely high speeds and watches what happens to see if they break apart or form new things. And that gives clues about how the universe itself and everything in it formed. It also helps us understand what the universe is composed of, including things like dark matter. But the LHC has never created a wormhole or a black hole ever. It probably never will. But if it did create a black hole, it might not be a bad thing. The black hole would be microscopic and it would disintegrate immediately, but we would learn so much about the universe. Also, black holes aren't intrinsically dangerous. It's just a massive object. They don't suck things in. Anyways, the LHC can achieve an energy that no other particle accelerators ever have before, but that doesn't even compare to what happens in nature. Cosmic rays collide with particles in the Earth's atmosphere at much greater energies, and we're fine. And nobody is trying to open a portal to another dimension. They're trying to find evidence of other dimensions, but that just means discovering new tiny little particles. You couldn't go to another dimension. And just to be clear, they've never done this yet. Nobody's ever discovered an unknown dimension. So this is all very exciting in the world of physics, but they've been doing this for a very long time and there's nothing to worry about. I promise everything's gonna be okay. CERN isn't responsible for the Mandela effect, and I don't know how people are connecting this to Beyonce or the United States economic protests. CERN isn't even in the United States.
Anytime somebody says something like that, or they be vouching for companies like that, oh, they would never, or they've never done this, or they won't do this, or something like, it's normally right before they do something like that. You know what I mean? Anytime I get skeptical, anytime I hear somebody speak like that. Oh, this company would never. And now you're just vouching so much for their credibility and they wouldn't do that. And this never happened. And no, red flag for me. All of that are red flags for me.
When you go through a black hole, mathematically, no one's ever done this, of course, you wind up on a parallel universe.
But you end up also stretched so skinny you could never survive? Your consciousness could
That's
never
for a
exist?
small black hole. Large black holes have very weak gravitational fields and you can travel right through. A spinning black hole, for example, collapses to a ring, not a dot. The ring rotates very quickly, that's why it doesn't collapse, because of centrifugal force. If you were to fall through the ring, you will go right through to a parallel universe without being crushed to death. These are called the Kerr solutions of Einstein's equations. And so it's like the looking glass of Alice. The rim of the looking glass is the black hole.
So why hasn't he gone through one then? If he's so sure, why hasn't he gone through it?
The center is the looking glass. When you put your hand through the looking glass, your hand winds up on the other side of forever. That is the solution of Einstein's equations.
They're just not going to be able to feed us no dumb stuff no more, man, and just expect us to believe it. You're just not going to be able to spew some stuff at us and think we're just going to accept it. No, thank you.
Anything becomes a black hole. If you take an orange and you squash an orange down sufficiently small, according to Einstein, it becomes a black hole. So these things don't have to be gargantuan. We also typically have an intuition that black holes are really dense, right? That's usually the way we think about them. But if you make something sufficiently large, regardless of how low its density is, it will also become a black hole. So you can make a black hole out of air.
I never really thought about that or heard that was one of Einstein's theories. So that's pretty interesting.
A satellite has found a black hole in the Pacific Ocean. The image was taken by a satellite, and several people created theories explaining what this image could be. The image was published without any coordinates, and based on the appearance of the photo, some people say it is a black hole. The image caught the attention of several people, so experts analyzed the photo and discovered that the image is an uninhabited island.
Can you make a video on the tides? So the moon doesn't control the tides at all. What controls the tides are the 4 rivers that are flowing out of the Garden of Eden at the North Pole. This map you're looking at right here is a map from the 1500s of the North Pole. Mount Zion is located at the North Pole, which is the mountain spoken about all throughout the Bible. Then underneath that is the Garden of Eden, which is why the 4 rivers are coming out of it, just like it says in the Bible. Now if we look here, one of those rivers, look, it passes through the whole land of Ethiopia, meaning it literally goes around that entire continent. All the oceans are connected to the Garden of Eden at the North Pole. The oceans are really just big rivers. Now, what force is causing these rivers to move? Well, it's the Rupus Nigra, which is Mount Zion. Rupus nigra means black rock. It is a black rock magnetic mountain located.
Y'all, we caught that, right? I just wanted to make sure I wasn't hearing things. I had to say what to y'all. Let's keep going though.
Located at the North Pole. The biggest investment company in the world is BlackRock. Not to mention, BlackRock is 33 French miles wide. And we know who loves that number 33. So I hope that answers your question. The oceans are just big rivers. It's not the moon that's controlling the tides.
Hey, I like the fact that he's doing it and he's connecting the dots while doing it. Salute to him for that. You know what I mean? Just make sure anything you hear, make sure you go back and you double check and you verify the information. You know what I'm saying? Even with something I put out, whatever anybody puts out, verify it, man. Look it up. See if it's true. And then still you have to question whether that where you're getting that information is real. So we just don't know. But listen, y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what you think and stick around and stay tuned. The next one I'm gone.